Today's video, and in today's video, I'll be doing a 2024 election prediction between Tammy Baldwin and Ron DeSantis. I don't think I've done one of these before. I might have, so apologies if I have. Also, tomorrow is my birthday. Well, not tomorrow, technically. Well, I was born, on the West Coast, but I'm currently in the Eastern time zone. I was born, at 11:55 or something, so it's kind of like, I'm just gonna do it on the 10th because that's the day I was born, but whatever. Anyways, so I'm gonna try to do this fairly quickly. I also, obviously I would want to do this fairly quickly because I don't want to spend, my entire day doing this, but I'm not gonna, necessarily take a terribly long time. Also, just putting out there that it is, I guess. So yeah, also, by the way, it might be a little bit of a late video tomorrow, or, it might literally come out the day after, at 1 or 2 a.m. So apologies ahead of time. For Baldwin's likely states in New Mexico, she's going to do pretty well with oil workers. DeSantis is probably slightly worse, for Hispanic Latino voters than Trump. In Minnesota, or actually, let's just go to Nebraska second. Nebraska second, Baldwin's strong enough in the suburbs. I don't actually see RDS having that much suburban appeal. I've made a video or two on it. I've discussed it before. In Minnesota, Baldwin's going to do well enough for the working class, retain enough turnout from Minneapolis, and do well enough in the suburbs. Michigan, she's going to do well enough in the suburbs, do well enough in Detroit, do well enough with black voters, and she's going to do pretty well with the working class. Pennsylvania, fairly similar thing. It's a little bit more conservative, though. I don't see RDS getting enough rural turnout in either of those states, or Minnesota, for that matter. Virginia, I think that Baldwin's going to do pretty well in Virginia's, suburbs. She's probably not going to be, the best candidate for black voters, and she's not going to be horrendous for black voters probably, but she's not going to be the best Democratic candidate for black voters. But RDS is probably not going to be able to turn out a whole lot, or not going to turn out a whole lot of white rural voters. In New Hampshire, Baldwin's strong enough for white rural college-educated voters. Maine at large, it's fairly similar, pretty inelastic, but it's probably going to be a little bit to the left of New Hampshire. For RDS's likely states, he gets Nebraska's first, Kansas, Missouri, Indiana, South Carolina, and Alaska. Nebraska's first, Baldwin's getting better in the suburbs. Kansas, he's not going to turn out as many rural voters, and the suburbs are going to continue to shift to the left. Missouri, he's not going to turn out as many rural voters. Baldwin's going to do well enough in the suburbs, and she's going to retain enough turnout from St. Louis and Kansas City. Indiana, she's going to retain enough turnout from Indianapolis, enough black turnout from Gary, whereas DeSantis won't turn out as many rural voters, and she'll do pretty well with the working class, probably. South Carolina, she's probably going to turn out less black voters. DeSantis is probably going to turn out less white rural voters. So it'll probably be a fairly similar margin. I could see it being slightly to the left of 2020, just because I don't necessarily know that Baldwin's loss would be as great as DeSantis's with less black turnout as opposed to less white rural turnout, because I don't necessarily know that she would turn out, or that I don't necessarily know the rate of less people turning out. In terms of Baldwin, I don't know that she's. I'm trying to say it grammatically and not just sound like I don't know how to speak with proper grammar, with my first language, but I see Baldwin. I'm sure a lot of you already understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to put it into words. Baldwin's going to turn out less black voters, and DeSantis is going to turn out less white rural voters, but the loss for Baldwin is going to be less because she's not as bad for black voters as DeSantis is for white rural voters, or she won't turn out as many less, if that makes sense. I'm sure many of you have understood what I'm saying. Basically, her loss will be less. She's not as weak for black voters, or her loss will be less. With black voters, it's kind of hard to say it. I'm sure many of you could understand what I'm saying. In Alaska, or I would hope so. If not, please comment down below and I'll try to find a way to say it. In Alaska, also, by the way, I might not be replying to comments much tomorrow because I'm going to be at an amusement park, for my birthday, so, yeah. There will be times where I probably will be, the morning and afterwards, but I might not be for long stretches of time. And in Alaska, sometimes, I don't reply to every single comment, but yeah, anyways, in Alaska, Baldwin's going to do well enough, with Native American voters. They're going to turn out at higher rates, they're going to continue to, which will shift the state to the left, but she's also pretty decent for oil workers. For RDS's and Baldwin's lean states, she gets Nevada, Wisconsin, and that is it. Whereas RDS gets Texas. Florida could probably be likely. Yeah, Florida's probably going to be likely. He's going to do well enough with the Hispanic Latino vote. He's going to do well enough in the suburbs, and he's going to do well enough with older white voters. I think there are hardly any lean states for them. Nevada, DeSantis is going to turn out less white rural voters. Baldwin's going to turn out less Hispanic Latino voters, but the turnout rates, or the last turnout rates, I guess, will be lower for Hispanic Latino voters. That's kind of what I was trying to say about South Carolina. The rates of less turnout, I guess, will be lower. I'm not certain if that makes 100%, if that 100% makes sense. In Wisconsin, it's her home state. She's going to do pretty well with the black vote. She's going to do pretty well in the suburbs. She's going to do pretty well with the working class, whereas RDS won't turn out as many white rural voters. I could see it being likely. For RDS's tilt states, not Arizona. Arizona is tilt to Baldwin. Just because Baldwin's tilt states. Arizona and Georgia. Oh, by the way, RDS carries Maine's second lean. And then he carries Iowa, Ohio, and North Carolina, all by tilt margins. Some of these states are probably hard to tell. Like these, I would say the tilt states are probably going to be the hardest for Baldwin to win. I think that Arizona and Georgia are probably toss-ups that favor Baldwin. Whereas Iowa, Ohio, and North Carolina all favor DeSantis. Probably. In Arizona, I just see DeSantis being a turnoff for traditionally conservative white suburban voters, especially with his recent even farther shift to Trumpism. But I don't see Baldwin taking a whole lot of those voters. So what'll probably end up happening is a lot of them just turn out at lower rates. Baldwin just well enough Hispanic Latino voters to narrowly carry it. In Georgia, DeSantis is going to get less rural turnout, whereas Baldwin's going to get less black turnout. I think Baldwin's going to get enough black turnout, though, to carry it. Iowa, DeSantis is going to get less white rural turnout, whereas Baldwin is going to do well enough with a lot of these, especially in this area, a lot of these Obama to Trump voters. I think she has the populist appeal to do very well in the state. Ohio, fairly similar thing. I also see her doing well enough with the black vote. I see it just being a narrow margin of victory for DeSantis. Although Ohio could feasibly go to Baldwin. In Maine second, I see DeSantis having enough appeal to a lot of these New England, Maine voters, even with that populist appeal. I could see it being honestly tilt to Baldwin. A lot of these areas are kind of hard to tell. North Carolina, or not necessarily. It's a bit of. Sorry, I just hit my mic with a mask actually that was in my pocket. But yeah, I'm just gonna give it to him lean. Feel free to disagree, and you might change my mind. Some of these states can be kind of hard to tell. And then I say states, districts. I could see Baldwin having enough of the populist appeal. I could see DeSantis. I'm gonna give it to him lean once again. Just comment down below if you disagree, and you could change my mind. A lot of these states are kind of hard to tell. Like Arizona is probably the hardest to tell of them all. North Carolina, I see Baldwin doing well enough in the suburbs. Doing well enough in the black vote, and doing well enough for the working class, whereas RDS will turn out less white rural voters. I don't see Baldwin having enough appeal, though, to black voters to be able to carry it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Please comment your suggestions down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all tomorrow or the day after or whenever I upload the next video, which will likely be within like 26 hours. So yeah, hope to see you guys there. Bye.